right, guys. So I just turned 25. So I wanted to share 25 things I've learned by 25. This is going to be the first 5 things. Some videos are going to be longer than others. But first of all, thank you guys for all the wishes. A lot of positive energy, even whilst getting work done. Getting calls from people overseas, around Australia. Love from around the world. And I'm really blessed that I have that kind of network and people supporting me and around me. 25 things I've learned by 25. The first thing I've learned is that, to be honest, try a ton of stuff, man. Like, I'm 25 years old. By the time I was 24, like, I'd probably tried like 8 to 10 different types of businesses, maybe 8 to 15 types of businesses, maybe 20 types of businesses, to be honest. I've had a cleaning company. I've had 3 marketing agencies, or maybe 4 marketing agencies. Yeah, I think 4 marketing agencies. 2 of them are standing. Had a production company, which is Quasar. I've had 3 to 4 nightclubs, 1 standing, Culture Club. Nightclubs and / events. I'll say events because Culture is more of an event. Yeah, I've had faceless Instagram. I've probably had more than 20, to be honest. I've had a lot of businesses. And the great thing was I made a lot of these tests very early on. Like, I started trying business. I tried network marketing. I tried a lot of these things from like 18. So by the time I was like 22, I was relatively convicted that, all right, the thing for me is probably going to be the marketing agency. To be fair, it wasn't really till early last year. I was like, I really just got to start going all in on this. I've actually had more than 20 now that I think about it, because I've done crypto businesses as well. I've had a few of those. I've had nearly 20. I reckon I've had 25 to 30 businesses, right? So try a lot of things. Okay, that's the first thing, because it's just speed. Now, like, I'm fortunate. Like, I got a legit business. I have a legit staff. I pay my staff between 10 to 20K a month. I have a name in Australia. I have a name in Asia Pacific. I'm internationally, to some level, known. On a very low level, I'm an international director. I'm a national level marketer in terms of who knows my work and the people we worked with, right? But that didn't happen over time. That happened with trial and error. So that's the first thing. Try a lot of things. The second thing is sales is easily one of the most important skills in life. In dating, in living, in getting your way, in managing relationships and managing friction. I'm telling you, by far, sales and effective communication is one of the most important and crucial things that you will ever learn. And it has saved my life in some situations that I perhaps won't reveal right now. It has built great alliances with people. It has taken me around the world to an extent. It's helped me even elevate when I was playing basketball still. So it's taught me a lot. And whilst initially it's a very uncomfortable skill to learn, for many people, not for everyone, but for me it was initially, it's so rewarding, and it gives you a level of confidence and conviction that many people won't have. I believe one of the biggest fears that people still have is speaking on public stages. More than like arachnophobia, which is fear of spiders, which is ridiculous, right? So imagine that the average person is too scared to speak on a stage. If you're able to speak on a stage, you are now significantly, from a statistical sense, stronger than the average person, right? So that's the second thing, sales, right? The third thing, understand your personality. Now, here's what I mean with this. There's personality tests. Some people talk about star signs, but I'm talking like read books about psychology, sociology, and like how you can understand how your parents and your environment and your surroundings and how you were brought up have contributed to where you are today. There's going to be negative parts of your upbringing. There's going to be benefit parts of your upbringing that was beneficial to your growth as a young adult or an adult or a teenager watching this. And there's going to be things that were not beneficial, so things that were and were not. And it is your job to uncode those things and work on the things that did not benefit you, and then enhance the things that were naturally there for you. You know, there's a lot of things naturally that were against me, you know, just based on how I was brought up or based on my parents. But there were also an overwhelming amount of things that were extremely positive that I got from my parents as well. For example, since I was in year 5, I've always been at least above average in verbal communication. So when I started reading books and I was like, you got to double down on your strength and stuff. When I tell you, like, nearly every year for the last 6 to 7 years, on my whiteboard, there has been some sort of goal to speak more concisely, treat your words like gold. These are things that have formerly been on my whiteboard before. Make X amount of calls a day, talk to X amount of strangers a day. Even now at 25 years old, nearly every week for the last year plus, I add 7 new people into a folder, and I've talked about this on how to network with 7 and 8 figure business owners, a folder where I say, all right, I've met someone in healthcare, I've met someone in junk removal, I've met someone in media, and now we have hundreds of people in this networking folder because I've been consistent with this thing, and I understand that I'm quite good at verbally communicating, at least above average, since I was 10 years old. So I make sure to have this list, and then I can reach out to them, communicate with them, etc. So you need to find out where your strengths might be, not just from a ego standpoint, but from what were your grandparents like, what were your parents like, etc. And then play to your strengths where you can. So those are the first 3 things. The 4th thing by 25. There's so many things I could say, but I know like there's probably going to be family members watching this as well and stuff. Control your ego. Here's what I mean by this. Be comfortable having a great and big fat ego. I have one. A lot of people have one that are trying to make moves in the world. Nothing wrong with that. But you need to also have as little ego as possible when learning from people that are bigger than you. You know, I was fortunate. Since I was 21, I was able to have finally gotten into the door and start networking with, you know, some 7-figure business owners. Now I've got people in my network that are up 8 figures, multiple 8 figures. Obviously, you saw the interview with Ty Lopez, multiple 9 figures, maybe nearly a billionaire. Definitely multiple 7 figures. That's crazy. That's my standard. In many of my friendship circles, like a lot of people there are in their 20s making like multiple 7 figures. I'm like the baby of the group with my multiple 6 figures, right? And that's such a great environment. So you have to shut off that ego, because, you know, it allows for people that see them in you to want to pull you up, instead of them thinking this guy thinks he's too big for us, so we're going to suppress him, or I'm not going to lend a hand to him and bring him up with me. So again, that comes to that balance of understanding when to kind of let it out and roar like a lion, and when to draw it back. And that's some of its maturity, to be honest with you, as well. Now, the 5th thing to wrap this first part up is you got to want it bad. Man, like I'm like today, I have people calling me from all around the world. And for me, to be honest, I haven't even responded to some of the girls, to some of the friends of mine that have tried to call me yet, because I understand that it is my job to be consistent. There's still people that were asking for extra payments for salaries and extra things today and stuff, because that is my job. That is my duty to my team. And that's going to be my duty to my team. So you've got to really want it badly, guys. Like I woke up, right? I went to bed yesterday and I was thinking about like how far I've come and how far I haven't come. And it was interesting. I was like, you know what? Truthfully speaking, I filled up a fair few buckets. I'm around 85 kilograms. I look good with my shirt off. I'm confident. I like my friendship circle. I like the network I have in Asia Pacific. I want more of a network around the world. But for me, I was like, the one thing I'm missing is, and this is me being really transparent with you guys, it's like $1 million a month profit, cash flow. And this is from someone that, you know, maybe is on track, but at least not at the moment, has even done in one 12-month calendar year, 7 figures. Now that might not be as far away anymore, fortunately, but you know, that was lingering in my mind, and that's not because I'm some money hungry, obsessed, you know, narcissist or whatever. It's more like, since I was 20 to 21 years old, I have had extreme conviction in the kind of freedom, the kind of speed, the kind of life that I want to have. So because I'm so I'm relentlessly going after that life, for me it's like 25, 21, like I wanted to be a millionaire at 21, I'm not. You know what I mean? And I'm not upset about that, but there's just a level of urgency that I woke up with even more aggressively today. And that urgency was saying, Dami, go even harder than you're going right now. Go even harder. There's an event that we're doing the marketing for. That event will probably do at least 100K in revenue. And me and my team, I'm going to get a piece of that. I'm just like, I just got to go so much harder. And, I'm grateful for that, because that relentless hunger is what has allowed me to take Quasar around the world in less than 2 years, is what has allowed my agency and myself to work with over 150 clients since I was 19/20 years old. You know what I mean? So I'm super grateful for that, but it just made me want to go so much harder. And it's the same for you guys. Like, if you want to make any significant progress, you have to go so freaking hard, man, for years, you know what I mean? That's why, to some extent, I got a good chunk of respect from at least a lot of people in Melbourne, Sydney, and a few other places around Asia Pacific, because they've seen me work. They see me at Quasar shoots. They see me locked in, trying to get 10 episodes done in a day, all high quality. They see me going day after day after day after day, whether I've had a break, whether I've had a breakup, whether I'm sick. They just know Dami's gonna be up. And if it's up, it's go. So that's what I wanted to talk about, guys. There's the 5 things that I've learned by 25. There's going to be more all week. All week, we're just going to be giving out the things that I've learned in my short 25 years. And this is just the beginning. This is just the freaking beginning, guys. I promise you that. I haven't even warmed up yet. I've maybe stretched a little bit. I've stretched 1 or 2 legs, but I'm not even fully springy yet. Like, this is not even the beginning. So I'm grateful to go over 25 years to another 25 and another 25 and another 25 and another 25, because you already know your boy's going to make it to over 100. If God wills it, I think he will. But if you like this, like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thank you guys so much for your support. It doesn't go unnoticed, every single one of you. I appreciate you. And hopefully I can be a vessel of, information and help and wisdom to pass on to you guys in your own journey. Okay? More life. And as always, think mega. Thanks, CB family. Day ones. Okay, now the next 6 to 10 things that I learned by 25. Okay? The 6th thing is that the difference between you and someone that is at the level that you want is not intelligence. It's probably not connections either. It's confidence. So what I mean by that is, if you want to build an empire, if you want to start a business, if you want to date a girl that everyone wants and that no one's had the courage to talk to, if you want to, be a front runner for a new industry, if you want to perform at a venue that historically has only been for a certain niche of people, right? The difference between you and someone that is doing it is they've actually just done it, okay? And it probably was very uncomfortable, it was very messy, but they just did it. So you have to be very willing to do it. Do it bad, do it ugly, do it messy, do it wrong, but to do it. And doing it means you're not going to do it well initially. It's going to be ugly, it's going to feel uncomfortable. People are probably going to laugh at you. People at least laughed at me. But you doing it and getting into the arena, getting into the Coliseum is going to give you the skill set, the reminders, the experience to then adapt, improve if you stay consistent and if you keep going, okay? A lot of people don't last even a year in most ventures. So for me, when I'm like, I don't care if other people try to copy certain business models that I'm in, for multiple reasons. One boat rises, if the tide rises, all boats rise, or whatever the inverse is of that. When one boat rises, all tides rise, or whatever, the tide rises, all the other boats. So if you're really good at something, other people are doing it, in a sense, and not in all industries, but in a sense, you're actually bringing more attention to the nucleus, the front runner. But also, I know that most people won't stick around for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? How ignorant do you think I sounded when I said I was going to be in the marketing game for 10 years and I was 19? I'm still in it. I'm 25. I'm 5 years in. I can't wait to get to 10 years. I definitely will have $100 million in either revenue or net worth by then, annually. And it probably won't be with the agency, but it'll be with the skills that I learned from running an agency, right? So that's the sixth thing. Now the seventh thing, and I'm going to say this to the male viewers out there: control your lust. I'm going to keep that one very simple. Control your lust. If you can control your lust, you have a much better stronghold over your psychology and your focus than many men. And I'm a man, so I definitely am very flawed in many ways, and this is also a message to myself. But man, if you can control your lust, because the thing is, years will go by anyway. Imagine if you spent 18 to 24 just chasing women. Like, you're texting 10 women a day on Instagram and trying to like see a new girl, get with a new girl. That is a habit. And I'm just being real, that can stick with you throughout your whole 20s. You'll be 18 and then you're 25 and you're like, whoa, I haven't created anything. I haven't built anything, because you spent so much time chasing the opposite sex. But as the saying goes, like when you chase excellence, the women chase you or something like that. And again, this is for my male viewers, that specific one, but I'm a young man, so I have to be real. And I can tell you for a fact that the gap between me and people that are even arguably much smarter than me was I was able to control my lust a lot better than many others. Okay? So that's another thing. Now, another thing, the eighth thing that I've learned at 25 is that you can't make everyone happy. And this is a real one, because it's hard, as humans at least for me. It was definitely formerly very hard for me to want to disappoint people, especially my parents, the way I was raised. A lot of you guys won't know this, but I was actually born in Fiji. I was born on Latoka Island in Fiji. My parents are Nigerian. They had me in Fiji in 1999. I had my brother in Australia. So my parents really did it hard. My parents were in Fiji when they were a year older than the year I am now. When they were 26, they were in Fiji. My mom had me when she was 26, 27 years old. My dad was 27-ish at the time. So they were quite young, a year or two older than me now. So they sacrificed a lot. So when I have to disappoint them or their family friends or other people, or even my friends or women or whatever, it hurts. It's difficult. But there's no way, and I've made a video about this, maybe the team can put a link to the other videos talking about what it takes to build an empire, especially if you're young. But there's just no way you can please everyone, because if you please everyone, you're not going to please yourself. There's only so many hours in a day. You need to be selfish to be selfless. Now, the final two things, number 9, is these 3 things will separate you from most men. Having your own car, looking good with your shirt off, and being able to speak well. It looks cooler when I do 3 this way. If you can drive, and you have a car, preferably, but if you have a car, you can drive, you can look good with your shirt off, and you can speak well, it will be hard to not make $100,000 a year. Under 25. And I'm saying that from someone who's making $100K a year minimum from 22. Okay? Minimum. Haven't made less than 8 to 10K a month since I was 22. And I'm fortunate to say that. Okay? But I say this because those 3 things will separate you from so many men and women. So this is a unisex piece of advice. Again, I'll repeat it because sometimes repetition is key. Be able to drive, look good with your shirt off or top off if you're a woman. Just be healthy, very healthy, and being able to communicate effectively. Those 3 things will smoke most people in this generation. It is absurd, the amount of people that don't have these 3 things sorted. To a lot of you listening, you're like, oh, that's pretty straightforward, that's whatever. But really ask yourself, do you not, and by the way, this is from someone that used to get a lot of parking fines and tickets and speeding fines, right? Do you constantly lose your car because you're always speeding? You have to pay off ridiculous fines. Are you really happy with your body, or are you just kind of maintaining, which means like you can't be bothered, or you don't want to get too big, which is BS, or you don't want to look too skinny, so you like to have a bit of weight on you. how physically impressive really are you? And I'm not saying be a bodybuilder, but if you can get your body to a place where you feel extremely comfortable at the beach with your shirt off or in a bikini if you're a chick, whatever, like, you will be so surprised what kind of confidence that exudes to other people when it looks like you have yourself put together. I look good with a white shirt, I look good with a tank top, right? And then for the communication, guys, whoo, the ability to storytell and communicate, guys, whew, I would not have been able to meet 8 and 9 figure, nearly $1 billion entrepreneurs, have them in my network, have them respect me, have some of them say happy birthday to me, some of them be friends, some of them be acquaintances. I wouldn't have been able to host. I just came from a demo right now. I'm going to the bank. I just came from a demo where we might be doing a gaming show, a dating gaming show for a well-known hospitality brand / franchise in Melbourne, Australia. So all these things are the result of effective communication. So those 3 things, guys, will put you miles ahead of other people. Now, the 10th thing is treat everyone with kindness. I'm not saying be like loosely nice to everyone, but treat everyone with kindness. There are people that have done me wrong, and I'm like, you guys, like, and when they did me wrong, I was 18, 19, 20 years old. Some of these people were parents. Some of these people were adults. Some of these people were children, like kids. So some of these were like functioning adults that just wanted to make me feel terrible. But I knew even at 18, 19, that person's going to regret doing that to me. Because we remember how people make us feel, right? So if you're in high school watching this, don't treat that nerd badly. You never know who that nerd could be. If you're looking at that fat girl, don't treat that fat girl. You never know who she could be. You just never know where life is going to take people. You could be working for the person that you bullied in high school. You just don't know. You don't know. You could be asking them for advice in 5 to 10 years. I have friends that own private jet companies, and they're like 27. Like, that's ridiculous, right? So guys, some really important life things. Please make sure that you integrate these things, and there's a lot more coming. But it's really important to really treat everyone with respect and kindness and love. Whether you're religious or not, what comes around goes around. What you expound, what rebound, that's how it goes. If you guys like this content, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Okay, so 11 to 16. Leave your environment in which you grew up for at least 12 months. When I was 21, I moved out to the CBD. 21 years old, freshly 21, like I was 20 just two or so months prior, just turned 21. And initially it was completely against my parents' wishes. And I didn't leave the house and take $500 that I had left over and go, no, like, it was tactical. I planned it all out. I still went broke doing it, but they didn't actually want to do it initially. But I grew so much when I did move out, especially being so young. I moved out at the beginning of my 20s. I am so proud of myself for doing that, because now at 25, I genuinely feel like I have so much more of a grip on life. And I'm saying that with a touch of naivety as well, right? But relative to my peers, I feel like my grip on life is so much more firm. My ability to deal with rent, deal with a roommate, deal with cooking my own food and cleaning everything and doing my own clothes for years. I was living in the city, away from the family for 2 years, so doing that taught me a lot. And truth be told, the only reason why I actually didn't end up moving back to the west of Melbourne was because of I guess a discrepancy, for lack of better words, with a roommate. But me and the roommate still cool. The ex-roommate, were cool with each other, but there was a certain situation that you'll know about that I felt was a kind of definitive line that was crossed. But I matured so much. I have so many more stories as a result of it, and I was able to grow. Prior to moving out to the city, I don't even think I in a whole year made maybe 50 or even 60K. But by the time I was 22 in the city, I was making at least 100K a year. And it's funny, it's because I had to pay for it. I had to make more money to afford the lifestyle inflation that I bestowed upon myself. So there's just so many benefits to it. You're around more people that are different than you, and different than the high school you went to and the primary school you went to, and different from the university you went to. Adults, I remember going into the elevator and seeing some crazy people and seeing some normal people. I got so many stories just from the elevator, let alone living in the city, which is hard mode. I think moving out is one thing, moving away from your environment to another country, another state, etc. But if you go into a city, whether it's in your own town or overseas or in a different state, a city is seems to be more chaotic than like a suburb that you're moving to in a different location. So that's one thing. Change your environment and stay there for at least 12 months. You learn a lot about yourself and your mental resilience. Now the other thing is this, the next one is be kind to people, but understand that not everyone is your friend. And I'm not saying be like, oh, it's hard to be friends with me. Not that type of guy. It's more like, to give someone the title of friend, I think is a lost art. I think a lot of people do it too loosely. I think there's acquaintances, and I think there's, people that or that you associate with. But if I'm calling you a friend, that means that if I'm not in the room, you can say, oh yeah, Dami's my friend, me and him are cool. I don't want to give that cosign to everybody. That's an expensive cosign. And I don't say that to be dramatic. I say that to be intentional, because it's like, if they say they're my friend to other people, well, all their traits and their character and their flaws and their benefits, they can now draw to me. So if they're always negative and they're like, oh, Dami's my friend, Dami's a negative person too. You get what I'm saying? So that's something that I've again realized to varying extents, and which is why even the businesses I associate with these days, I try to keep it quite clean and nothing messy, very simple, very orderly. Women I've maybe dated or seen in the past, 95% of the time, even if things are ended or put on pause, it's a very amicable ending, and I ensure that it is. Because I also understand I'm 25. By the time I'm 30, 35, who knows? People could try to say bad things that are untrue. So you just want to make sure, even with male friendships, I make sure, look, if I disagree with a guy, I'm never one to really unnecessarily yell or anything like that. There are times to yell, by the way, I will say that, but it's amicable. Just, hey man, this is where I stand. I respect if we have an indifference to each other at this stage. Let's put that to the side for a second, if that's okay. I try to be quite diplomatic, but I don't try to be friends with everybody. I actually don't even try to be friends with everybody. No, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think it's even healthy. Now, the next thing is this. Those that you do call friends, vet them hard, especially the friends that you see frequently. Because if I see somebody frequently, I am likely going to adopt their traits, certain speaking patterns, the way they think, the topics. So I don't want to just adopt any traits. I'm super intentional about the people that I frequent, because I'm like, I'm going to adopt your way of thinking soon if I'm not careful. And I think very big. If you're not thinking really big, and I'm seeing you twice a week, once a week, even once a fortnight or once a month, I get nervous, because I'm like, oh, I don't want that to rub off on me. And that doesn't mean that you now drastically, heavily cut off the kind people that are good. Maybe you don't think that big. I'm not saying cut them off. I'm just saying perhaps see them less. And even that in a sense of itself can be a bit cruel, but it's honest. Again, I didn't come out the womb with most of my friends being most of my close friends at least, being extremely high performers in their own regards, whether it's comedians, whether it's sports people, whether it's 25, 26, 24, 27-year-old, 28-year-old multi-millionaires. A lot of them are high performers. A lot of what I've achieved is nothing compared to them in some senses, right? And I love that. So for me, it even keeps me on my toes. Now, not all of it's about financial or status. A lot of it is about character. So things that you have to often vet are the character. I've been in situations where I thought someone was a friend, but I had a suspicion about their character, and their lack of character was confirmed. And I distanced myself from them. Now I'm a lot more ruthless with it. Like, if I see that you have weak character, bro, I'll unfollow you on Instagram. Unless we can maybe do business together, then I might not unfollow you. I'll just stop hanging out with but like, if I see it, and the thing is, I might not even say it. You don't have to be outlandish with it. You don't have to be like, you have bad character, get away from. Nah. Hey, bro. Okay, cool. Hey, I'll leave you to it. Have a good one, bro. Let's hang out. Hey, bro, hit me up. Hit me up later on. But right now, I'm just really locked in, focusing on my own stuff. But we can keep in touch. And that's all you have to do. Like, keep it player, keep it cool. Don't overdo it. But I definitely, if I think your character is really poor, oh my days, I don't want to be associated with that in the slightest. Because if that's how obvious your character is in public, I can only imagine how it might be to your family, to your friends, to your wife, to your girlfriend, behind closed doors. I don't want to be associated with any potential skeletons. Okay? Right? So that's me. And I've had to do that for even business partners that I work with. So I might be in business with someone 1-2 years, and then I realize, ooh, bad character alert. It's cool. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna, if I'm already in business with them and the business is performing, it's a healthy business. Obviously, I would have wished that I would have known much earlier rather than later. But if the business is healthy operationally, etc., then of course, in that situation, I'm not going to be spending excessive time hanging out with them. It's just they do their role, I do my role. Someone said this, at times you can work with parts of people. I agree to an extent. I don't do that now. But, if there's certain ventures that I've been involved within for a couple of years and things are firm and it would affect things too drastically, if I was to be like, then that's another thing. But to be honest, I see myself, by the time I'm 26, 27, probably exiting businesses where I actually think that the character of someone might not even be that poor. It just might not be up to my standard, right? For example, I have friends of mine, not friends, lol. I know people that might be comfortable hooking up with a friend's ex-girlfriend because they're not dating, and they just ask the friend, hey bro, do you mind if I hang out with your ex? And the friend might resent them, but they'll say yes to maintain frame. Now, in the person's defense, the person that asked, they asked and they got permission, so they actually are in a sense no fault. But again, for me, if any person that is even an acquaintance of mine asked me, I would leave them on scene and unfollow them. I wouldn't even answer the question. And I wouldn't even, to be honest, and maybe this is me holding frame here, it wouldn't even be me trying to demonstrate anger or superiority. It's just simply, or to try and hide that the one might be upset. It's just simply that just gave information and intel into the character of somebody, right? So it's just more about character when it comes to these friendships of yours. So anyone that you frequently see, you must vet them. Vet them so hard, especially if they're your close friend, because you will be associated with them for their highs and their lows, and you will pick up on a lot of their traits as well. So those are a few things that are crucial, guys. Let me know if you agree. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm telling the truth. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong on something. And share it with a friend, see what they think as well. Okay, so video 4 of 25 things that I learned before 25. If it hurts, you are probably growing. The irony is this: once you actually do start to have a little bit of momentum, you are expecting yourself to have a lot more elation, happiness, joy, and you will. You'll have a high for about 5 minutes, and then what will happen is you've now created more stress and more work for you to deal with, because more opportunity is painful. Alex Hormozy said this: decline is painful, growth is painful, staying the same is painful in business. So all of it is painful. But you got to pick what pain you want to tolerate, right? So I'd rather the pain of growth, which in reality is like this, sometimes like this, right? Instead of the pain of being neutral. I'd rather try to splash in a change that causes a reaction that might make me dip for a second, but now I'm able to learn what caused that dip and then recorrect it and go upwards. So if it hurts, you're probably growing, and you actually need to get very comfortable to endure that pain. Because whenever you try to build anything of any fortitude or strength or difficulty, just know that there's a ton of people that have quote unquote made it, but they're actually just better at dealing with the pain than you are at this stage. So that's the first thing. Now, this one's a bit controversial, and some will agree, some will not. If you're sub 30 years old, invest into your mind, not things. So here's what I mean by this. I'm 25 now. By 22, I had, let's just say, enough funds to buy or invest into my first property or to get a new car. But what I did instead was I started dumping by 23, from 22 to 23, probably $40,000 to $50,000 into what is now grown a lot more to Coursera Central, other seminars, at a cognitive behavioral coach, so I could, operate at a higher level psychologically and resolve some of my, quirks that I didn't want and stuff like that. And some might have said, mate, you're 22, get a property. I had friends saying, bro, get a property. I had parents saying, you're just a couple $1,000s away from getting your first property. And it was great advice. But I also think what's even potentially better advice is if you invest into this thing, then by the time you're 30, you could have a plethora of skills that allow you to buy a property once a month. There's someone in the US that I was watching, and he's a marketing guy. I think he's 29 or 30 years old. And he started his marketing agency in his early 20s. His parents were entrepreneurs, and he had a wife. He got married around 26, 27. And, he would still drive the same, I think it was a Subaru, until his business was even doing like a couple $1 million a year. And the irony was his employees were like, mate, I've got a nicer car than yours, this, that, and the third. But now at 30 years old, his marketing agency is essentially now a mergers and acquisition firm. So basically he has a marketing department, which does, Amazon, e-commerce, info products, but they also buy other businesses. That inspired me a lot. And I started watching this guy last year. And he's 29. But imagine if he spent, $100,000, $250,000, $20,000, even $10,000 on, a new car or a new property. I'm not saying he probably has properties and stuff now. I think he has Lambos now. But imagine if he did all that in his mid-20s, late 20s. He wouldn't have the liquid cash to be able to buy companies, which create an exorbitant, significant amount of extra cash flow, right? So in my opinion, and again, maybe I'll change my mind on this by the time I'm 26 or 27, but so far this has reigned true for me. Investing into my mind has been one of the best decisions for me personally, because for me, I know if I ever want to go back into the corporate marketplace, I can demand at least $150K a year. If I want to change business models, whilst the learning curve might be a while, at least I can bring marketing and sales to it. So my ability to weather the storm emotionally and psychologically is improved and has improved, not just because of the skill, but it's more because I know that I have spent 5-6 years investing that by this point, if we're including business ventures, easily over $100,000 to $150,000 of my own money into different mentors, coaches, events, podcasts, experiences, traveling. And now I have a conviction that allows me to bounce back irrespective of the fall, because there will be many falls in life, right? So I think if you're sub 30, invest into your mind and yourself and not things. Now, the third thing is this, and not many people know you can do this. Pick the traits you want like a game. So when I was 20, 21 years old, actually maybe even a bit younger, 19 or 20, I would nearly for each year, at the end of each year, around September, October, I'd start to plan for the next year coming up. And I would write, okay, by 25, Dami has this trait, that trait. He is this good of a speaker. He is inspirational to men. He is this to women. He is powerful here. He is strong here. He can sleep really well. He's fierce. He's strong. He weighs this much in kilograms. Like it was that detailed, right? What kind of clothes does he wear? The clothes thing I'm still working on. But everything else I wrote in excruciating detail. And to be honest, I'm pretty fortunate to say that a good 70% of the traits that I actually wanted when I was 21, I have now. But it was because I literally wrote them out on a piece of paper, or I typed them on a Google Doc, and I was intentional about listening in the early 20s of my life to me repeating and reading out these affirmations of the traits that I want. Dami Yokadara is this, Dami does that, Dami blah, blah, blah. Now at this point, I have found that that's not necessarily the best way for me going forward, but for the first 2-3 years, or maybe in my 20s, I would listen to it nearly every morning. It would annoy my roommate. He'd be like, bro, can you please put it lower? I hear it before I go to work. It's really annoying, right? But I'm telling you, you can actually pick the traits you want if you're intentional enough about naming them and identifying what those traits are. And then, of course, it's going to be up to you to take those steps forward and to actually work on adopting those traits. But if you do this, you'll be surprised how fast your traits will start to configure to the ones that you actually want instead of the ones that are the result of your environment. Because humans are like water. If we stay in a certain suburb, we start to speak like our friends, we start to speak like our parents, etc. But if you really are intentional about, I want this trait, I want to sound like this, you start listening to people that have those traits already. And you start to, again, you start to adopt their patterns. I remember when I was 20, I was at Starbucks and I brought my whiteboard with me, kind of like this. I have multiple of them, and I was planning for 2020. I was 19, I was freshly 20. And I was listening to, some of you guys will know this guy, Patrick Bet-David, and I was watching his videos on like how to sell, how to storytell, right? And it's funny because now I'll get feedback from some people like, bro, you sound like the African PBD, blah, 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 blah. Or people will use me as a verb when trying to describe maybe their friends that are, making videos on YouTube. Like, bro, you're trying to be like Dami. But 5 years ago, I was quote unquote trying to be someone else, right? But it was more that I was intentional about wanting certain traits and then integrating them into, my perception per se. Okay. So one of the last things for today is this. Oh yeah, this is really important. And I learned this from Robert Greene. There's a book. If you haven't read Robert Greene, I suggest you read all of his books. There's 48 Laws of Power, which is the classic one. Laws of Human Nature, Laws of Seduction, 33 Strategies of War. I think one or two, 50th Law with 50 Cent. And Mastery. Mastery is fantastic. But I think it was the 48 Laws of Power. It is never outshine the master. For those of you that are in the corporate workspace, this is gold for you. I repeat, for those of you in the corporate workspace, this is gold for you. So here's what I mean by this. When I was 21 or 22, I was working for one of the, at the time, fastest growing tech companies in the US. Slack was number one and this company was number two. And I came in as an SDR, which is a sales development representative. And I already had 2 or 3 years sales skills. So I was thinking I was going to come in and just smash the role, but the role smashed me. And initially it was really, really difficult because they were giving me a really tough industry to sell to during, the cough, right? The Rona. So I had to cold call and appointment set auto dealers, used car dealers, OEMs, which are original equipment manufacturers like Toyota, Subaru, Mercedes, etc. And I'm this 21, 22-year-old with no experience selling to car people. So I come in and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay after hours at the office. I probably was the youngest employee there, or one of the youngest there. I think Peggy was as well. Shout out to Peggy. We're both like 21. And I was like, I'm going to stay after hours with the manager and do role playing for sales and the objection handle. And it was great. I improved very quickly. But what I realized as young as I was in the corporate space is because I was maybe growing so fast and I was putting in all those extra reps, resentment started to appear. So I had an account executive that was above me. And he was way more experienced in his early 30s. He probably knows who he is if he's watching this. And he was really, really good at sales. Like he was, in terms of revenue, bringing in over 100K a month, killing it. And I had to appointment set for him and another person. And initially, it was kind of that corporate friendship, relationship, etc. But I wouldn't participate in extracurricular corporate activities. So I wouldn't go to, the parties that have after work or the drinks. I would simply go home, back to my apartment, and then work for another 5-6 hours on my marketing company and, the ideation at the time of Quasara and some other business stuff, some crypto stuff, just trying a ton of stuff. Anyway, it gets to the point where I start to get good. And this guy, to his credit, was really initially very nice to me to help me kind of get the ropes, etc. But there was one day, with this account executive, I set him 3 appointments in the day. And at the end of the day, he says, hey, mate, listen, I'm going to be real with you. I didn't attend any of your appointments. I had another really good demo in the morning, but someone else set. But keep up the good work. I'm proud of you. Now, there's 2 things that I could have done. I could have arced up to him and been like, oh, who do you think you are? Remember, I'm 21, he's 33. And he's making way more money in the company than him. Who do you think you are? You're trying to challenge me, trying to mess up my stats. You're trying to get me fired. I simply said, oh, okay. Thanks. And he tried to do a big smile. He tried to fob me off, probably thinking I was going to say nothing. What he didn't know is that I had a meeting with the manager that was the management for all the appointment setters the next morning. So he's like, hey, Dami, your stats weren't as good as usual. Like, what's going on this month? And I said, well, look, I've been working really hard. You can see my numbers. I've been making the calls. But, this certain account executive, he just decided to not take my call. Dami, who is it? Who did that? And I told him, yeah, look, I don't want to be that guy to say. And he's like, Dami, this is not about you. This is about the company. Because obviously I know, again, that his results are impacted by my results as well because he's the manager. So I was like, yeah, look, I have to tell you, it's this account executive. And I hate to say that because he's so good at what he does. And, I respect his craft and all that's true. And he's like, Dami, you don't have to be so nice all the time. I'll take this matter into my own hand. Now, if I was 19 and the same thing happened, I probably wouldn't have lashed out, but I probably would have gone toe for toe with the account executive. Who do you think you are? Are you trying to mess me up? But then he can easily just go and tell the manager, get rid of this kid. But instead, again, I didn't try to I didn't try to put myself on to what we call put yourself onto the master. You never want to try and arc up unnecessarily to people that are significantly older than you or have more status than you, have more power than you in certain situations, at least in a corporate or business setting. Now, again, don't misconstrue this as don't stand up to the power, right? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is if you actually don't try to what we call outshine the master, or you try to, show that you're better than them or bigger than them, you actually create enough space for you to recalibrate, strategize, and oftentimes there's more than 10 different ways to solve a problem. But too many people are so reactive. I want to look like I'm the big dog. Guys, an entrepreneur has both high ego and is extremely shameless. You know what I mean? Think about the art of cold calling. You're calling strangers and asking for money. But you also have been able to build a team, many of you watching this, right? So those are a few things that I've learned, real life experiences when it comes to, dealing with people. And of course, when it comes to mindset, and I can guarantee you guys, if you integrate some of these things, you pick the traits you want, you make sure that you're investing into your mind, you're making sure that you're comfortable with the hurt that you're enduring, and you're willing to not try to outshine everyone that's perhaps more successful than you, and you're trying to be diplomatic and fair and reasonable. And then when you need help, you can ask of it because your ego is not so high. You'll be quite surprised the leaps and bounds you can make in this life. Anyway, if you guys like this, share it with a friend, comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, so the next parts are a few things. One of them, most importantly, being it's okay to be aggressive, but try to create alliances and less enemies. I know a fair few aggressive people in certain industries, whether it's nightclubs and events, whether it's marketing, etc. And there's nothing wrong with being an aggressive person going after for what you want. Some of these guys in the event scene, for example, aren't even really allowed in certain states or cities because it's a bit dangerous for them because they didn't form any alliances. When I started branching out Kosa, I was really intentional to create alliances with the right people. Make sure that they understood, hey, this is a collaborative thing. This is something that Melbourne isn't just gaining, it's something that everyone involved is gaining exposure from and connections from, etc. Especially if you're trying to do something big and you are not involving other people, you are going to incur resentment. It is just the way the game goes. It is human nature. Humans are both not as bad as you think and are also not as good as you think. We're primal creatures, no matter how logical we present to be. So always be aware of those primal drivers. Another thing is, it's very important to actually frequently meet new people. Now, I'm not talking about always partying or always doing random things. It's more the benefit of meeting new people is multiple. One of them is you are always able to potentially meet a new client, potentially meet someone that could change the direction of your life. You just never know who you're getting access to at certain points of your life. I've met people that have changed my life. I've met people that when I was 20, 21, when I was 18, 19, I was doing network marketing, have had a great influence on my life because I was rapidly meeting new people all the time. I've had people that I've met through other people that came to me as a client that ended up being a club owner in which we did a business venture together. I've had people that I met through network marketing that years later I'd end up, doing Kosa Central with, right? So the benefits of meeting a lot of people is you're increasing your odds of meeting someone that could change the trajectory of your life. And that doesn't mean necessarily being a massive socialite, but the more people you meet, the more odds you tend to put in your favor. The third thing is it's very important to have some sort of system for filing all the people that you've met. So I've talked about this. If you want to learn how I did this, you can find the video where I'm talking about how to network with 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs. And it is such a blessing to be able to have a notebook of people in which I can be like, all right, this person does this person does that. I can call on them for this, call this person for that. This person's in healthcare, this person's an actor, this person's a DJ. And then maybe when I have an event, I can be like, all right, A, B, C, D, security done, event organizer done, DJ done, celebrity done, girls done, guys done, whatever. So there's a few big benefits of being able to track your portfolio of people that you know. And if you follow up with them consistently, you can build relationships with them as well over time. Another thing is, sorry guys, let me just focus on the road, this turn. All right. Another thing is the importance of making yourself more intelligent. So I've talked about this again in the past, 3 ways to increase your IQ. One way is to just be around smarter people. Guys, again, we're like water. We get influenced by the littlest of things. Be around smart people, read more books, attend seminars where you're learning things that you didn't know about. It's really important because you want to stretch the catalog in your mind of topics so you can eventually form a unique one-on-one specialization, which is you. You know, I'm able to talk to lengths about production. I'm able to talk about lengths about psychology and science. I'm able to talk lengths about, you know, marketing and sales. But not a lot of that was, I mean, a lot of that was obviously my experience, but a lot of that was also just symbiosis, being around people that are much better than me and talk about things I've learned from them, from the Ty Lopez's of the world, from the Kerwin Ways, rest in peace to Kerwin Way, Grant Cardone's, Alex Hormozy. You know, a handful of those guys have been able to meet in person and watch on stage. Rory McDonald, all these guys, right? It's important. All right, guys, so this is the final video of, 25 things that I learned by 25. So the first of the final things are know your city. You know, one thing that I was really grateful for when I moved out of home at 21 years old was I realized how much more there was to Melbourne, right? I initially was, and I think a lot of young people are, they're very like, wow, America, or wow, Europe, or wow, Africa, or wow, Asia. But Australia actually has so much to offer, let alone Melbourne. And my roommate, who was a city connoisseur, so to speak, he'd show me a lot of bars, venues, clubs, places to eat, scenery that I hadn't even seen in my own city. And this guy was from, North Africa. And I was really grateful for that because in that first year, I felt like, when I was taking a girl out, when I was showing my friends around the city, I could be like, oh, that's a really good place for this type of Korean food. And then you want to go to this dessert place. And then after that, we can go to this venue and end the night. And I would have so much, like the repertoire or the versatility of places in which we could visit had expanded. And that was largely because I had a much more better feeling of my city geographically. So that was one thing. And part of knowing your city is also knowing, who runs the city. A lot of certain industries are monopolized by certain individuals or families or people. When it comes to the banks, it's very much that. When it comes to nightclubs and events, they're really majority of the different genres of music, Latin, Spanish is run by, 1-2 guys that I know. A lot of the most popular DJs in the Afrobeats world, I know them personally. A lot of the most popular Afrobeats and hip hop clubs, a lot of the most popular tech clubs, except tech and house clubs. R&B. A lot of these venues are ran by the same group of people. They all know each other. And that's the same for many other industries. Marketing, I have a pretty good idea of who the biggest marketing agency is in Australia. And again, that's the benefit of knowing your city. You have the breadth and width that gives you a lot more situational confidence, which can come in handy in many ways. Now, the next thing is be known for something, have a trademark. Now a lot of people know me as a hustler. And a hustler encapsulates so many things. It could mean marketing, it could mean business, it could mean sales. But the name that I was building from 19 to 20 was built on the back of just hard work ethic. At the time, I wasn't really known as a marketing guy till about 20, 21 years old. But I was still known for being really, really hardworking with basketball, in the gym. I'd post pictures of my shirt off, me getting bigger, how many cold calls I would make, how many doors I would knock on. And what that allowed me to do was now at 25, when I go into different rooms, I get invited to different rooms. I've actually got a networking meeting tomorrow with this property guy. He was an ex-client of my agency. And, he's up multiple 7 figures. He's 29 to 30 years old. And, I get invited to these things. There'll be some 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs there. But, I would have loved opportunities like that when I was 20, 21, even 22 coming up. But I didn't have that network yet. I wasn't known for certain things. So having a trademark is really important. How you create a trademark is, personal brand. Online, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. And it's also the actions that you do daily. So for me, nearly every day I work really hard. except maybe Sundays. And, maybe I should be working hard on Sundays. Maybe I shouldn't. That day I do try to take that day off for personal religious reasons. But, still to an extent, I'm working pretty hard on Sundays as well. Um, and the great thing is, over time, when you have certain habits and actions, people start to look at those actions and habits as you are. So if my parents have seen me make hundreds and thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of cold calls since I was 19, well, they can now be like, my son can sell, right? If my business partners in certain businesses are like, this guy knows how to run paid ads, and he's like, we just had a Melbourne Afrobeats festival on Sunday, and that event definitely generated over $100,000, and I had basically 4 or 5 weeks notice to run ads for that brand, and we were fortunate, as a subsidiary company to get our share from it, because I'm a shareholder in one of the events in Melbourne. So now, again, opportunities like that come to me because I have the brand of, 2 years ago, I also did one of the biggest New Year's Eve events in Melbourne, Parisio, generated them over $100,000 in ticket sales as well. So again, once you do something over and over and over again, I will now have DMs now from event organizers all across Australia saying, hey man, love the work you're doing. I want to work with you. So be known for something, have a trademark. It's very important. Get outside of your home is the next one. So I talked about getting outside of your home city, but this one's really simple. Just get out of your actual house. Like if you can get out of the house 6 or 7 days a week, to be honest. Like honestly, if you're in your 20s, I definitely do not think you should be spending most of your time at home. Really, I don't care if you're home. I naturally lean introverted, and not many people listening are going to believe that, but it's the truth. It's really important that you get out of the house, because when you get out of the house, you create opportunities. You're meeting people. You are able to, merge realities into someone else's reality by simply stepping into their day. And that's really important when it comes to creating opportunities from nothing. It's very, not hard, because you can cold call like me and do emails and stuff, but you are increasing the odds greatly of getting what you want in life when you go outside the house and meet strangers and just meet people. The one after that is to try random activities. I talked a bit about this as well, but I'm going to give you more specifics in terms of not even business things, but just things in general. When I was 19 years old, fresh out of a relationship, I went to a TEDx event, and I was like the youngest there. I was so nervous for whatever reason. I felt out of place, I felt uncomfortable, but I was inspired. And I went to a TEDx event on TEDx Docklands, and it's funny, literally a couple months ago, I got interviewed by the guy that was running that event 5 years ago. And he reached out to me for an interview. So it's just crazy how you never know who you're gonna meet. And the importance of trying random activities was I then met a person that was launching their own book. I met a personal development guy. I met all kinds of people, to some of which I still have, them on Facebook, and they've seen my progression. They've seen me grow up since I was 19. And the benefits of that are paramount, because you just never know simply when your paths are going to cross with theirs again. And it might be a business opportunity, it might be a friendship for life. So, yeah, guys, like try random activities. I have done so many random things. I've been to Bali, I've been to New Zealand, doing dating shows. I've done, Kosa was random at some point. That was new to very much Melbourne and Gen Z in Australia. And now that's, a well-known media company in this side of the world, right? I've done crypto things. I went to the crypto Gold Coast event in 2022. Never had traveled for crypto stuff before. Went to a property conference earlier in the year. I just tried different things, and I meet these amazing people. And there's so much gratitude to having a story when you are able to, or rather, you have the ability to tell stories when you do random things, and it keeps life eventful, fun, and exciting, compared to someone that just says, oh, what'd you do this year? Oh, not much, just worked, got through another year of work. Like, you have no stories, bro. Like, I'm fortunate to say, even at 25, I have probably more stories than your average 30-year-old, and that's just the reality of it. Now this one is something that I'm working on. The next one, it's be flexible physically. Man, like since I started playing basketball mid last year, like I've been so, like I was already not that flexible before, but I'm significantly less flexible, and it feels terrible. And I go to the gym, I do some stretching, but man, like, I can't, as I proceed to the next levels of business and stuff, financially, I will be investing probably into like maybe like a masseuse like a couple times a week. So be more flexible. It is so important. for a variety of health reasons, but even psychologically, when you feel flexible, you feel good. You know what I mean? You want to move around a little bit. Um, that's really important in a variety of ways. Try to walk a couple times a day. Don't sit down all day. That's something that I'm struggling with. I still sit down a lot of the day, but I make sure that I at least go for a walk once or twice. It's really important, super important. These last two I really live by in many ways. Laugh daily. I love to laugh. What helped me get through cold calling when I was working for a tech startup when I was 21 years old during the the COVID. I was cold calling, and what I would do nearly every morning while eating breakfast, just to prepare myself mentally for the day, to get yelled at and told to F off by used car dealers and auto people, is I would watch like a video on YouTube, and it'll be a funny video, like KSI or something like that. And just other creators, Beta Squad, and it just get me going. Like I understood that if I started my day laughing every morning, it would increase the likelihood that I could get through another day at that time. Now, for me, now cold calling is whatever. Like, I don't have to laugh. Like, I can just bang out 100, like whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's my job, and I've got a team that I'm paying salaries for and other stuff, right? So, when you start paying 10, 15, 20K a month in salaries, you'll just do what you need to do. But before you get to that point, you will benefit from laughing daily. And just laughing daily in general is super healthy. I laugh daily. Me and my brother roast each other daily. We make each other laugh daily. When I'm with my friends, we laugh a lot. It just keeps the vibration high, and it's really important for your mental health as well. What's the point of living life all the time if you're always not laughing? Like, I don't care if you're working, have a laugh. I laugh with people that I cold call. Like, it's no big deal. Don't take yourself too seriously. Be serious as a man, and as a woman as well, whoever you are, be serious, but also just like, have some fun. Have some fun. Have a laugh. It's really important. Last one, okay, is feed your mind, positive content. So a lot of people, and I, again, do this. My brother roasts me sometimes. He's like, Dami, why do you watch this, content where they talk about the YouTubers and there's beef? Sometimes I get caught up in that as well. I mean, Kendrick versus Drake earlier this year, right? But, Drake versus everyone really. But, a lot of the content I do consume is very positive. That's why the things that I affirm are quite positive. The vibe that I carry, I hope is quite positive. At least that's the feedback I get. And it's really important that you're a positive person. And the only way you can become positive, essentially, is by consuming positive things. Because, again, humans are like water. We're organisms. We're influenced by our surroundings, right? So you feed yourself positive content. So to recap, know your city. Have a trademark, be known for something. Get out of your house. Try random activities, be flexible physically, laugh daily, and feed yourself, or feed your mind rather, positive content. So guys, listen, these are 25 things that I've learned by 25 years old. I'm so grateful for all of you that have been part of this journey. And appreciate all of you. To the next 25, the next 25, the next 25, the next 25. And I'm going to keep building. My goal, now that I'm at the midway of my 20s, is to be either in net worth or annually in revenue, be doing at least $100 million by 30. So I've said it on YouTube, I've said it on camera. Let's see if I get it done. Really excited. Blessings to all of you guys. And as always, think mega. 5 years in to CB. So thank you guys that have been here from the day one. I appreciate it. Much love.